suddenly occurred to me in the last 30 minutes that I could make a big spiral of books on the floor that would show a theme, and so that was what I tried to do. And then we had my son judge us. My son ended up grilling us like an oral test or something, and then he made his decision, and it was a lot of fun. And then we did another video of
who won?
I won. But we both did really well. And I thought my son won. I was really impressed with what he did in his judging process.
I watched this right after the interview.
Yeah.
When in the interview, Ollie talked about he had all these teachers and an admin asking him, well, "What does your son do?" And he's, he kind of knows what his son does, but he's going off of the main thing that he just sits around and plays video games all day. And so all the educators are going, what,
Yeah.
Does this have sound? Can I show the last part of that video? Maybe I can just show the last.
Are you talking about last night?
I can do it on here.
Yeah, if you can show the last part with my son.
Yeah, and so anyway, then I pull this up, and he had already said that he'd written a whole bunch of stuff, so I was already impressed, but I'm right there now. To see what his son, how he talks, is amazing. Do you know about what time it would be?
It'll be the last 3 minutes.
How do you make?
You'd say, I think you'd have to say start. And then
No, I was trying to make it big. You got it up?
yeah, I got it here, and then I'm gonna go just to the last few minutes. I guess it has to scroll forward or something.
Yeah, mine's slow too. There he is. That's his son right there.
Okay,
Does he still have long hair?
Then it was time for
yes, he hates cutting his hair. He's like, I tease him and say he's Charles the
societies
okay.
and evolution. And all that led up to philosophers and philosophies and the book Charts of Philosophies and Philosophers.
That was my book Sparrow.
What are we? Then it was time for the judging. I thought Oliver was just going to render a judgment right away, but he wasn't so sure. He pondered, and then he began asking some questions.
How does mind and free will, how are they different? How does knowledge relate to free will? And how does that determine whether you're going to, what would you do in the light of the reasoning perspectives go into what to do and alternatives? What do you have under alternatives and ideas?
Wow. You have to bear in mind that Oliver doesn't go to school and spends all of his time playing video games. But you know who else didn't go to school? Socrates. And now it's my turn to face Socrates.
How is born to believe related to thinking? Because it seems more like we're born to believe, so we're not thinking. Look at that book. I think it's not so much about thinking about us, but thinking about how we think about spiritual animals to science. As you're learning, what can you take from the spiritual section, and how does that relate to ideas?
I like that
This
third
is
one.
full circle. How does that relate to the learning and thinking?
I like the fourth one.
Well, we have two very, very different arguments and two very different ways of representing.
I had no idea he was going to do this analysis.
Well, James did a very good job, but I felt some parts were incomplete.
James.
Lack of time, for instance, the lack of the utopian section, and the stark contrast between science and rational thinking.
He's 16.
And then with John,
No, he's 14.
Oh, 14.
what to do next in light of a layoff, but it seems so much more than that. Not what to do next in light of a layoff, but maybe you don't have to do anything at all, and the evaluation of whether or not you have to do anything. So they seem to be proving very different points, and it's hard to judge them. But
That's what he does.
That was pretty good.
It's Lassie, but
Then the dogs attack everyone.
Yeah, let the dogs attack my work. Hey, that.
I win the victory dogs. Victory dogs.
so yeah, that was the end of the end part of the video. And then I have another video here where after this we decided to give ourselves another challenge. And this is deliberate practice. This is the kind of practice that makes you into an expert thinker, I think, is you think this is fun to do stuff like this. So the next thing we did is we decided we would find an object on a beach, some nondescript object, and we would try to learn everything we possibly could about that object and describe it as completely and elaborately over the top as we possibly could. And so that became the Stone Project, and we made a video about that. And that directly led me, because the object we found was a rock that had barnacles on it, that caused me to have to learn about barnacles. That caused me to learn that Charles Darwin was the foremost expert on barnacles. I didn't know that. He spent 8 years learning about barnacles. And that caused me to read 5 biographies about Charles Darwin. I just got really into Charles Darwin. But it was all because I picked up a stone on a beach. That was it. It's how it began.
You noticed.
And why did Charles Darwin love barnacles? Because he picked up a stone on a beach. He picked up a shell on a beach in Chile and saw a barnacle on it and decided he really wanted to learn about barnacles. So it's like there's an affinity between Charles Darwin and me, and I got real excited about that. And I didn't start out to learn about Darwin. I didn't say, I want to read 5 books about Darwin. I wasn't interested at all. I was just trying to write this analysis of this stone in a way that would be kind of crazy fun, because it was outrageously unnecessary, you know. But I thought it would be a good demonstration of learning, how that drives learning.
Is that part of deliberate practice, that it's crazy fun, outrageous learning? Or
Well,
not?
it could make it so that that's what makes you want to do the practice.
Okay.
And you have to want to do this practice. I think this idea that the practice has to be something that isn't fun doesn't work for me. It works for some people, I guess, but it doesn't work for me at all. If something's not fun, I just stop doing it. I just stop doing it. So it has to be fun for me. So I have to make things kind of quirky and crazy. And so my brother and I, he makes it more fun to do any of that stuff. I'm lucky to have a brother that he likes to read stuff and think, and he likes to compete with me. And so right now he and I are playing a game we call Swashopedia, which is about it's the Wikipedia game done in our style. You know what the Wikipedia game is? That's where you take 2 different pages that are way different on Wikipedia, and only by clicking in the article you have to navigate from one to the other. And so we decided to go from space-filling curves to kitten. Can you go from space-filling curves to kitten in the smallest number of clicks? And my brother did it in like 9 clicks. And I did it in 20 clicks.
How did you do 9?
Well, he went from space-filling curves to a particular mathematician who worked on space-filling curves, to the university where that mathematician worked. And then at that university page, there was some kind of zoological department. So he was able to move into the animal world. And then he was clicking around. He couldn't find anything on cats, but he found something on gorillas. And he remembered that there was a gorilla that had a cat. And so he was looking around for that, and he found a reference to the famous gorilla, Coco, that had a cat named Allball. And so he went to the page on Allball, and that's where he found a link to kitten.
That reminds me of a Bing commercial.
Whereas